Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown,
the unofficial sumo podcast
for official sumo fans.
Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown. This is Ryan.
This is Jake.
This is Flerick.
Hi, my name is...
What?
My name is...
Who?
My name is...
Yokozuna Mac.
That's right.
I see one of us is excited about Raps this episode.
Yeah, I went there and I liked it.
He is the only one who's excited for it.
Yes, this is our recap of the 2020 Aki Basho. And as you can tell from the intro, Mac won our prediction series for this. And it was a little bit of a special prediction series as it was a double punishment, which kind of turned into a triple punishment when Jake and I tied for the second lowest score with Flerick. So we are all losers here, and we're just living in Yokozuna Mac's world.
Something like that. But Flerick lost the most.
Flerick lost the hardest.
So I would posit that he should be Sukebito Flerick, and me and Ryan are just rank and file Megashira.
Seconded.
Yeah. Hey,
All right.
let's go with Jurio. Let's not...
That's 50% motion carries.
Yeah, too late. It was already seconded before your addendum came to Flerick.
Yeah, 50% the majority.
Sukebita rights are important. I am being oppressed.
Yes, you are, and you will be for the entirety of this episode. So let's dive right into the results. And I don't think there's really anybody better to announce the winner of this U-show than unnamed person who called our voicemail.
Yeah.
So unnamed person who called our voicemail, take it away.
Shodai, you show. Suck it, Flerick.
Yes. Flerick's worst nightmare has come to light, and the fans are letting him have it. Never before have I been more proud than our fans than that moment right there. Shodai, with a 13-2 record, is the U-show winner. His first career.
Clap, 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 clap.
Thank you, Jake, for giving my excitement in clap form.
Before we dive more into Shodai, let's get into the rest of the award winners. So the June U-show winner was Ozeki Takakesho with his 12-3 record, his fourth career June U-show. And we had only two guys get special prizes. Shodai won the Shukun Show Outstanding Performance Prize, his first career Outstanding Performance Prize, and his sixth special prize overall. And then we had two Koto Show Fighting Spirit prizes given out. One to Shodai, his sixth career Fighting Spirit and seventh special prize overall. And Tobizaru in his first career tournament got his first career special prize with that Kanto show. And I just want to stop down with Tobizaru real quick because, God, he broke my heart on day 15. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
When he lost that match and got up and it was like crying on the dojo. Like, you see the guys be happy on the dojo. Like, you have the happy tears, Tokushoryu. You love that. We've had, like, the Takayasu existential stare of disappointment after he lost on the final day to lose his chance at a U-show a couple years ago. But never before have I seen just the heartbroken, sad tears that Tobizaru had. And I hope to never have to see that again.
Yeah.
Hey, how do you know that wasn't also happy tears, though?
Because the frown on his face. We've seen happy Tobizaru. We know what that looks like after the Sada no Umi match, how happy he is. That was very sad tears. That was heartbreak in those eyes.
He was very sad.
To me, it seems like it could be either way. It could just be like the tournament is now completed and all the emotions are pouring out and he realizes that he absolutely blasted away expectations. I don't know. I hope that even if it was purely sad tears, I hope that he has a moment to reflect and realizes how great he still did.
Yeah, he definitely did good. But I think the reason why he hit so hard is because he had him a couple times during that match. Like, he had him pushing back, and then, like, he recovered at the edge. He was, like, got to the side of him, pushing sideways. But then just, like, right at the last moment, like, he lost his balance, and Shodai took advantage of it. So,
wow,
like,
giving
he was
no
in that
credit to
match for most of
Shodai,
it.
Flerick. Just saying that Tobizaru lost his balance.
Was that... No, I was... Well, he took advantage of the throwing, but he was, like, way off center. I don't know. Whatever. I don't want to get into the Shodai.
That's okay. We still have one more thing to get to before we get to the Shodai of it all, and that is Kageyaki still remains without a prize, a Kimboshi, a Yusho at any level of his career. But wait a minute. Doing some research to make sure that the crapping on Kageyaki was warranted, I found that there is one
It
other.
is warranted.
I did find that it is warranted, and there is one other. It is Koto Eiko. Also has never won a Yusho at any level, never has a Kiboshi, never had a special prize Jun Yusho, nothing. And he's been around for longer than Kageyaki. It's something like 80-some Basho to 60-some Basho. But I don't hate Koto Eiko, so he will not be showing up in this segment every single tournament like Kageyaki will be. Plus, I have to give a special shout out to Kageyaki on this, as I took part in Sumo Kaboom's the podcast by a couple of sisters down in Texas. They had a Kachikoshi bingo where you had a bingo card with a bunch of Rikshi on it. And when they got Kachikoshi, you got to put an X on it. And Kageyaki was the last guy I needed in my top row to get a Kachikoshi bingo, and he eked it out on the last day. And apparently I was the only one to get that, so I won their contest.
Dang.
And so
you're like a huge Kageyaki fan now, right?
Yes.
No, still hate him. He's still the worst. Absolutely dog shit.
Yeah, I definitely have to raise exception to phrasing that as giving Kageyaki a shout out.
Kageyaki finally won something for somebody, even if it wasn't for himself.
Okay, I'm good with that one.
There you go. That works.
But yeah, I listened to Sumo Kaboom's most recent podcast, and since I had won this contest, they did a small little profile on Grand Sumo Breakdown. So if you listen to their most recent episode, which is recapping days 10 through 15 of the Aki Basho, you can hear a nice little profile on Grand Sumo Breakdown right at the very beginning. And then listen to the rest of the podcast as well.
Yeah, you should check out that Grand Sumo Breakdown. They're an excellent podcast that we also recommend.
Yes, couldn't recommend them more. But also Sumo Kaboom, also very highly recommend them as well. They're doing a good job down in Texas.
I'd say they could be up to the second best English language sumo podcast that I've heard so far.
Oh,
I'm not sure. Maybe up to second best.
There's Sumo Mayanichi.
Yeah, first one being the one that has an interview with Konishiki, right?
Guys, it was a layup. We're the best.
Flarek.
We're number one.
Come on.
Okay, because I don't know. That's pretty fucking good.
Flarek's in a very bad headspace, as evident by his obscene use of language right there. We tend to fall in the PG-13 realm of things where we'll say shit. Like, we're okay with that. But Flarek, just rampant use of the F-bombs.
Oh, you know what? I had to go to an interesting place to create my raps. I'm still in a sassy mood.
The
still full of spice.
crisis has not ended for him.
All right, let's dive into the meat and potatoes of this podcast. Shodai Yusho, or the story of how Flarek fell into a pit of existential dread.
You actually wrote that out.
Well, yeah. I don't write things out that I don't intend to say on the podcast, Mac.
You Ron Burgundy so well.
Anything funny that Ryan says is fully read word for word off of the outline that he has painstakingly pieced together over months.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote it, so I'm still just as funny as if I came up with it on the spot. I just came up with it on the spot 3 months ago. So, Flarek, your thoughts?
I don't think this hasn't been this rough since that one time, was it Kakuryu was like winning like the Yusho, but then like the last couple of days he just kind of ended up losing it. So yeah, it's
You're
been
gonna
rough.
have to be more specific.
Yeah, I was about to say, do you have
I guess the first time that happened was one that kind of hit me hard when I didn't know how being a Kakuryu fan was kind of like.
Oh, this was like most of 2018. I'm looking back. Yeah, he did get 2 Yusho in there, but there were also 2 tournaments where he went 10-0 and then crapped the bed and got nothing out of it.
Yeah, but no, it's been rough. I went back to what I did then, like laying low at the Y, having sad conversations with old men, buying up all the cough syrup I can at local drug marts, and
wow,
just lots and lots of just trashy K-drama. I'll tell you what.
Tell you what.
Yeah, it's been rough, but I will say there was like a couple like Basha overall. Like it's the Tobizaru was kind of a bright point, but I will say there's one thing I do like a lot, and that is just some ugly man tears. And when Shodai was walking back off the dohyo, like he kept it very stoic, but like
Which surprised me.
Yeah, it
Yes.
surprised me too. But very Rikishi of him. But then like he got to his Sukebito and he just kind of started bawling after he kind of gave him a fist bump and kind of went for a hug. So that I will say that was touching. He still done me cold for many years. So this isn't at all redeeming, but I think we're kind of close to neutral with Shodai, I would say, kind of after this.
Oh, the tides
an
may be
improvement.
turning.
Yeah, and that's mostly for my mental health because I'm feeling he's probably going to be around and good for a while. So I need to figure out something. I don't know. I'm still at a loss.
You have at
can't-
least 2 tournaments where he's going to be an Ozeki, and you have to deal with that.
Better emotionally prepare yourself now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what, Fleric? I'm going to give you a little bit of a way to get out of your Shodai hatred, because you hated old Shodai. You hated pre-2019 Shodai. This isn't your grandfather's Shodai that we've been seeing this past year. This is a new guy. This is a guy with a confidence in his Tachi, with apparently on most days a plan on how he's going to win the match. Can't really say the same for that final match.
Yeah.
It's funny because I read some notes. Apparently Shodai was like, no one told me. I had them not tell me who my opponent was going to be for the next day or some shit like that.
Jesus,
So
Shodai.
I wonder how much planning he actually did, or like
Nope.
he just stopped trying to plan.
I
That's
do love that
interesting.
idea, though. That would be really fun.
I like to think all he does in the dojo is just like practice these ballerina moves and just balances on the Tawara.
Mhm.
Just to
Him and
heighten
Endo.
his ring sense.
He doesn't know who he's facing until the Yobadashi sings it out.
Yep.
Yeah, he's like looking across the ring and he's like, which of those two guys is going to get up?
Yeah.
It does seem like he kind of passed that mantle on, the mantle of having no idea what's going on at any point until the match is over. He may have passed that down to Tobizaru.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yes.
It's possible. And that's
Ceremonial
why he's
passing
great.
of the torch. But let's talk about his final 3 matches, because the first 2 of those were very impressive. So on day 13, at this point, Shodai was 10-2. He was tied with Tobizaru and Takakesho. And the matches of the day were Shodai versus Takakesho, so you know one of those guys is dropping out of the lead, and Tobizaru versus Takanosho, which Tobizaru defeated Takanosho to remain tied for the lead going into day 14. And Shodai versus Takakesho, I was very impressed with Shodai in this match. He just calmly absorbed all of Takakesho's blasts. He never let himself get overpowered, never like tried to push into Takakesho so that he could go off balance. He just waited for Takakesho to take a misstep and then tossed him to the side and won the match. Pretty much the perfect way to handle Takakesho without just accidentally brushing his belt, and then Takakesho flies backwards from the impact. And then going into day 14, we now have Shodai tied with Tobizaru at 11-2. And then Tobizaru ends up losing to Takakesho that day. And it's Shodai versus Asadoyama. If Asadoyama wins this match, we're going to have a 4-way tie going into the final day. But if Shodai wins, he's going to be the sole leader. And I think this is probably the most impressive match from the whole tournament from Shodai, because he absolutely overpowered Asanoyama the entire way. He was able to get a grip on Asanoyama's Mawashi at the Tachi, pushed him back immediately, and then just absolutely choke slammed him to the ground, treating him like a peasant and not an Ozeki. And that's Asanoyama on a 10-day win streak, too, that he just ended right there.
I didn't know he had it in him. As much as we've seen Shodai with all of his different types of sumo, a choke slam come out of him? Who is that guy?
Yeah, no kidding.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, I was just going to say a joke, and this is a guy that usually just uses like the surprise roll-up pin for his finishing maneuver, but to actually do a choke slam, yeah, very impressive.
To develop a finisher, yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, this particular match, I'm sure we'll talk about Asanoyama more later, but I have just one thing about Asanoyama I wanted to say on this match. This one, and then day one against Endo, was it? I don't know. There were two Asadoyama matches where he just got planted square on his butt, and like it really hit home that he's not ready to be Yokozuna yet.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know. I think we should
Totally,
talk about that
totally.
later. But like the way that he lost a couple matches made it very non-Yokozuna looking.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Sorry to change topics, but anyways.
We will switch right back to the Shodai of it all. And like Fleric said, day 15, he was up against Tobizaru. If he beats Tobizaru, that's Shodai Yusho. If he loses to Tobizaru, then Tobizaru would face Shodai in a playoff with a chance of Takakesho joining that playoff if he defeats Asanoyama, which Takakesho did end up beating Asanoyama in that match. So pretty much exactly as Fleric described, Tobizaru won the Tachi-ai, pushed Shodai back to the Tawara. Shodai kind of shoved him aside a little bit, and Shodai gets a little bit of forward momentum, pushing Tobizaru back. But then Tobizaru shoves him aside and then attempts to push him Shodai out of the dojo. But Shodai is able to put his arms over the top of Tobizaru and then spin him down at the Tawara to secure his first career Yusho. And so I have to think that the game developers put in a buff for the latest patch of JSA after the Aki 2019 Basho, because the last 5 tournaments for Shodai, 11-4 June Yusho, Kanto Show in November, 13-2 June Yusho, Kanto Show in January, 8-7 in March, but then back in July, 11-4 with a Kanto Show, and here in September, 13-2, won the whole freaking thing with a Shuken Show and Kanto Show. He has the most wins of anybody in Makuuchi this year and over the past 5 Basho, with 45 total over the past 5 Basho versus 43 for Asanoyama.
It's interesting because we've kind of put him behind guys like Asanoyama and Takakesho and maybe even Matakayumi as guys that are like the next big guy.
Right. In terms of skill and in terms of what we've seen with them in the ring.
Yeah, exactly. And Shodai, like he certainly removed any doubts that there was any sort of flukishness to his couple recent good records. Because I mean, had he been Sekiwake before this recent run?
He had been Sekiwake once, like 3 or 4 years ago, and he got absolutely blasted out of that rank and never touched it again.
Here it
until
is.
this 3 tournament stretch.
Early 2017, he went up from Maegashira 3 to Sekiwake, went 7-8, dropped down just 1 to Komusubi, but then he got a 4-11. And then he's been in single digits Makuuchi or Maegashira ever since then, pretty much.
So yeah, this was only his 5th Sanyaku tournament ever.
Yeah, so it seems like something happened between September and November last year that just completely flipped a switch. Because he'd never put up double digits anywhere near that high before. It's very strange to see like a complete shift from like, you know, upper level Maegashira guy to like dominant front runner type guy. Just looking at the records over the last couple of years that he's had.
Yeah, and I think we plugged this on the midway episode, but our buddy Mr. J-Wags had a very conveniently timed video where he highlighted Shodai right as the Basho started and kind of talked about like the change in his Tachi-ai specifically and how he's using that to help him out and how it's different than what it used to be. And that could be the change that has let him reach such high heights at this point. So I recommend everybody check that video out.
Yeah, he talked like he said he spent the canceled Basho apparently just thinking about his Tachi-ai and like how he can improve it, which of course is always like working my first step and like get stronger and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's kind of interesting that he took the time. I always think it's interesting how some like athletes like the training is very important, but like spending some time like to actually think about how you're gonna do stuff can like just be that last little step that kind of gets you from like you say mid-level Maegashira to like a double-digit winning Jun shows and Kanto shows.
Yeah, instead of just practicing his charge 1,000 times, he was like, let's sit down and watch some tape.
Yeah, I will say that I do give some props to Shodai on that. I like kind of seeing some cool stuff like that.
Fleric, you can't start giving props to Shodai like in the next preview episode. Just beat yourself up this whole episode, be entirely down and bummed, because that's going to make it more fun for the rest of us.
I'm at a loss here. I
No.
was not expecting Flair to be praising Shodai.
I told you we're at
whatsoever.
neutral right now. Like, I don't love the guy. Like, there's okay, maybe I still kind of have a little dislike for him, but
It's
But
really
no-
not all that emotionally satisfying for us watching you grow as a person. We really just
Yeah.
wanted the vindictiveness.
yeah, I know. But don't worry, you got that rap battle later on for that.
That's a good point. There is
for
a
the pain.
lot of
Fair enough.
vindictiveness in the raps.
Don't you worry about that.
Yeah.
So
But no, like, I will say, like, as I was looking up some Shodai stuff, apparently he did have the fastest progress to not the fastest, but the tied for fourth fastest progress to Makuuchi in the 6 Basho and year era for people who didn't start in like Makushita or Sandame.
Less
So,
than 2 years.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, because he started at the bottom. Yeah, and he
Mhm.
rocked it
11
up.
Bashos, tied with Tomokaze, and apparently Hokuto Fuji is in second place with 10 Bashos to
Wow.
get up to Makuuchi.
Wow.
So it's just a matter of time before Hokuto Fuji wins a Yusho. That's what I'm hearing.
Keep dreaming,
Apparently.
Ryan.
Just
I
like how
will.
Jokoryu is going to eventually become Yokozuna.
He's the next big thing, damn it.
Well, speaking of next big things, the next big thing for Shodai is he is an Ozeki now, as we mentioned before. Kind of like Asadoyama, didn't hit that magic 33 number, which we are realizing more and more. It's not as magic as people make it out to be. Because Shodai got to 32 total wins over the last 3 Basho with an 8-7, 11-4, and 13-2. But he peaked at exactly the right time so that they could not deny the promotion from him. He's actually going to keep. So his real name is Shodai. He does not have a Shikona, and a lot of people were wondering if he was going to take on a Shikona with this promotion to Ozeki. And it turns out, nope. He is going to be the 5th Ozeki ever to not take a Shikona, and I know one of those is
Takayasu.
Wajima.
Wajima, I believe, is the only Yokozuna who never took a Shikona.
But he also before that he also had to be an Ozeki who did.
Well,
not
yeah,
take a
yeah.
Shikona.
But Takayasu is a more recent example of somebody who did the same thing.
Yeah. I guess I never realized that Shodai was just his name. I guess I have no idea how many people are just fighting with their names out there. So I think it's Shodai, apparently Takayasu. Learned that one just now.
Wow.
And I think Endo's name is just Endo, but I don't know. There could
Yeah.
be other people out there.
There's probably dozens out there. People who have the hubris to think their name is cool enough already.
So Jake, I wanted to get your opinion on this. Do you think with that 8-7 record in there, even though he got the Yusho this time, should they have waited one more Basho before promoting Shodai?
Nah.
That's fair. I think you're probably
Nah,
right.
even with the 8 and 7.
Yes,
Now-
absolutely. Even with the 8 and 7, because he even counting that, he kept the 11 wins per Basho pace like even longer, which I think is even more impressive. To me, I think it's more impressive that his streak here of averaging double digits is a whole 5 Basho long. I think that's pretty cool. Even
Well,
though
4
What's
out of 2 and 2 out of 5.
no, but like averaging, I guess. And when you're talking Ozeki runs,
Okay.
there have been Ozeki runs with 8 wins or 9 wins in there
Go Edo.
before. Sure. Yeah.
Mm.
So like I don't necessarily think that a Kachikoshi that's not quite as good is a complete deal breaker. It's a similar situation to Asadoyama where it was he had a lot of long-term performance, even if like the very strict guidelines were not, or not guidelines, the rule of thumb was not technically met for him. Was he also 32 or what was going on?
He
there?
was also 32, yeah.
He
He
was
like
there you go. He
10,
had a
10 and
Komusubi
11
and
or something like that.
11, 10, 11.
Oh, yeah, 11, 11, 10.
But either way, I think that there's no reason to deny him the Ozeki promotion. It's also kind of cool, especially with both Yokozuna out. It's kind of nice to see another person move into a role near the top. So I don't know. I'm totally fine with it. It makes perfect sense to me. I certainly have no qualms about it.
Yeah, so I think
we're definitely getting stacked on those Zeki. It's kind of like it's the perfect brewing time for a Yokozuna to think about making their way up.
Well, it's not
Yeah.
like back in like what was it, early 2000s or late 2010 or early 2010s where we had like 5 or 6 Ozeki at the same time.
Yeah, you can certainly have like there's no cap on it. It's just whoever
Yeah.
meets the requirements. And I don't know, for me it always feels like there's not enough Ozeki. We came in during the stretch where there was Koto Shogiku, Kisano Sato, Teruno Fuji, and Goedo. So like for the first handful of Basho that we all watched together, there were 4. So for whatever reason, that stuck in my head, and I feel like there should be around that many. So I don't know. It always feels to me like there's supposed to be at least, more than 2. That's not enough Ozeki.
It's always good to have. Like, usually it means that there were some people doing well. So a lot of Ozeki is usually a good sign.
Yeah, a strong batch of consistent wrestlers.
Yeah, the on Shodai promotion, the Ozeki usually have an acceptance phrase of where they kind of say, they try to say something like important sounding. So the kind of says what they want their Ozeki what they want their Ozeki rank to kind of be like. And for Shodai, it was sincerity and consistency. Nice, quick and short. So he's also kind of nodding towards my original qualm against him, which is his consistency. So I appreciate that. Once again, Shodai. We're quickly becoming great buds.
All right, pump the brakes there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Let's talk about the Ozeki that Shodai is joining. And kind of, as Jake was alluding to earlier, pretty disappointing Basho for our awesome Yamaka. He took himself out of Yusho contention in the first 3 days with that 0-3 start when he came into it as the heavy favorite to win the Yusho. And then he got 10 straight wins, and he somehow still had a chance to win the Yusho. If he had won on day 14, he would have put himself in a tie for the lead for the tournament. But just kind of like on day 14 of the last tournament, he lost that match to keep him out of the Yusho race. So, Mac, is this kind of a disturbing developing trend that we're finding for Asadoyama where the pressure is too much? Or is just kind of this 2 Basho blip on the radar for him and we expect him to turn it around in November?
God, I hope it's a blip. I think it is, personally. Looking at his 3 losses, yeah, no, that was pitiful. But then he had a fire lit under him. He did get 2 Fusensho wins. Okay, but in the
Everybody
other matches,
got a Fusen win this tournament. There's so
fair
many
enough.
Yushos.
But no, I think that now that Shodai has joined them, he'll have a lot stiffer competition. I think this is going to light a fire under him, and hopefully we won't see any more 0-3s.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm worried that he might turn into Kisei no Sato and not like the Kisei no Sato at the end of his career before the injury where he won 2 straight Yusho, but where he got 12 June Yusho and was never able to take that next step.
Don't do that. Don't do that now.
There's no there isn't a same age greatest of all time guy holding Asanoyama back though. That was I mean, Kisano Sato absolutely has that kind of thing going on. The asterisk by his career where it's like these are his stats, but he probably should have had a lot more. And yeah, I don't know. I think the best guy of the next generation is still a title that is kind of up in the air. And I think the fact that Asanoyama has gone 12 wins and followed by 10 wins as an Ozeki in his two tournaments at the rank, I think that's fine. I don't think there's any reason he's not a Yokozuna yet, which is good because that would be humiliating the two times that he was planted flat on his ass.
Yes.
But he's not a Yokozuna yet, but I feel like he's starting to basically get the treatment that he is and that he's supposed to be. So it's clear that he's not like actually ready for it. But
not yet.
Yeah. But I think we're all of the agreement that it's probably going to happen. Certainly more likely than not. But yeah, I don't know. It's still pretty early, and I don't think that we should put too much expectations on him to be perfect yet.
Yeah, you can definitely see, like in some of his matches, like you said, when he got I feel like he just sometimes gets thrown hard. Like it's like that's part of his game that he just hasn't really kind of shut down just yet. So like
Right.
you say, he just has a little bit more work. And I don't know, like it's I definitely agree with you, Jake, on that. And I think it's like part of that is because there's just so much parity at the top of the Bansuke nowadays.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Yeah.
it's like I've granted like Yokozuna, like you want Yokozuna, you want like that 1 or 2 star to kind of get up to the top. But maybe it's just there's like 5 people who just like switch off winning like Yushos all the year, and we never get Yokozuna. We just get like 6 Ozeki, and maybe we just have a weird year of where everyone's just equally good, and no one gets promoted.
Well, I
So-
have some data that shows we're in year 3 of straight weird years. So
Hell yeah.
and there's no end in sight.
That's
There
for
you
sure.
go. Yeah, it's a weird combination of Hakuho being around and dominant for so long, and just I think I think we have a good crop of kind of equally pretty good Rikishi that are kind of trying to take up the space, and we'll see if like someone actually can pull out the dominance that we saw from Hakuho and the other Yokozuna, but maybe
The other Yokozuna.
The other I like that, Fleric.
pretty much, yeah. But we'll see. Like I just kind of thought about this when you were talking about it. Like maybe we live in a world where we don't have a Yokozuna for a while because everyone's just about the same caliber.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier the Kakuryu back-to-back U shows in 2018. That's the last time anyone had back-to-back U shows. It has now been like fully 2.5 years since somebody had consecutive. Is that kind of where you were thinking of for 3 years, Ryan, or what was your starting point?
No. So I've always thought that we're in like an historic year or period of transition that we've never seen in sumo before. And I actually have a big spreadsheet that I'm going to do a bonus episode on at some
spreadsheets.
point. Just going back to when the 6 Basho system started and pretty much figuring like a weird year is a year where the Yokozuna only win half the Yusho or less. And then at least 2 of the other 3 are won by somebody less than an Ozeki. And so we're in 3 straight years of that exact scenario. And there's never been 3 straight years of that exact scenario.
I gotcha.
So that's kind of just like where you don't know where the Yushos are coming from that year. That's what we're getting. So many Maegashira Yusho wins, historic amount of Maegashira Yusho wins. There's more like Sekiwake wins right now and an absolute dearth of Ozeki wins as we have. It's almost 4 years since an Ozeki has won a tournament. Kisei no Sato is still the last Ozeki to win a Yusho.
Oh my god.
Wow. That was
Yeah, and-
January 2017. Before we started this podcast, we still have never covered a tournament where an Ozeki won. And yet we've covered probably like 4 tournaments where a Sekiwake has won and 4 tournaments where Maegashira have won. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, you could. We could probably call January of 2018, where Tochinoshin won his U show from Maegashira 3. We could look at that as a starting point because before that, the last time somebody who wasn't a Yokozuna or Ozeki won any U shows was 2012 when Kyoku Tenho won from Maegashira 7. Before that, it was 2002.
Jeez.
Excuse me,
That's
2001, Koto Mitsuki. And other than that, the entire century has been Asashoryu, Hakuho, and like a couple of Ozekis and a sprinkling of other Yokozunas in there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's I think that that definitely is empirical proof of what we've been alluding to for ages about there being more parity than there used to be.
Yeah. And now some of those U shows are turning into something. Asadoyama won a U show, not immediately, but he is now an Ozeki. Takakesho won a U show. That was part of his Ozeki run. Shodai has won a U show. That is part of his Ozeki one. Mitake Yumi has won 2, and that is part of 2 of his myriad of failed Ozeki runs. But then you also have like Tamawashi winning 1, of which nothing is ever going to come of that. We have Tokushoryu winning 1. Nothing is ever going to come of that. And that just hasn't happened in so long, where you just have these random winners and they're happening with a very high frequency at this point.
Hey, think about this though. This just occurred to me. Sekiwake Tamawashi won a Yusho, and we all, by the time it happened, we already knew nothing would come of it, right?
Yes.
And yet at the same time, Maegashira 17 Teruno Fuji won a Yusho, and we're all like, something is coming of this.
Exactly.
I feel like that's different though, because
It is. It's just
Tamawashi-
kind of funny to me.
yeah, Tamawashi was like 34 when he won, and Teruno Fuji's 28 in an Exozeki.
Yeah, but he's 86 in knee years.
We'll get to his knees in a moment. I want to focus in a little bit more on Takakesho. He is back in form this tournament. He could have forced a playoff if not for that Tochinoshin Henka in their match. And that Henka and Tochinoshin's match looks particularly worse in hindsight because the day after, when he fought the next Ozeki, Asanoyama, he tried the same exact thing, and Asanoyama just kind of blasted him out of the ring. So I don't think do it one day against Takakesho, who you know is going to go in low and you collect your Kensho and all that. But to try it 2 straight days against both the highest ranking Rikishi in the tournament, that's even I draw a line at that point.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you turn into Terutsuyoshi with the leg
That's
kick.
exactly what I was
Mhm.
thinking.
So yeah, Takakesho looked. Well, I'm not going to say he looked good. I there was a Reddit thread. I don't remember which Reddit thread on r/Sumo this came from. But somebody said like Takakesho is out of breath collecting his Fusen show. Sorry, that was u/GMI went said Takakesho is out of breath collecting his Fusen show, and u/Sandakin the triplet said I'm not sure I've ever seen Takakesho in breath. So Takakesho not looking the healthiest, and people have mentioning he looked a little heavier this Basho and a little bit of extra out of shape. But I mean, it worked for him. He went 12-3. He did have that really scary moment after his win on
No.
day 11. He knocked Takano Fuji out of the ring. He fell down to the dohyo simultaneously. And as he was
Yeah.
trying to get back up,
No.
his right
No.
arm just was not letting him. It was like seizing, or
It was
he couldn't get the
wobbling.
strength.
It looked wrong.
Because it was wrong.
To me, it kind of looked like maybe he had dislocated it and was trying to shake it out or something. I don't know. It was really weird, and I have never seen that kind of like behavior
I've never seen
in
a
regards
shoulder
to an
do
injury.
that.
Yeah, and then he got up and was fine. So it was really weird. And obviously he continued to wrestle. He got a huge break when Endo pulled out, and he got a Fusen win the next day. But according to Kintamayama, Takakesho said that it was a muscle spasm and that apparently it just happens every day.
Yeah, that's bull.
No. No.
So
That would suck if it happens every day. You get like a weird spasm like that.
yeah, no kidding. So hopefully Takakesho can drop a couple LBs, get his muscles to all behave correctly, and kind of continue this sumo. Because I don't think we've seen Takakesho with consistent like 10 to 12 win sumo, except for his Ozeki run.
Yeah. Well, he's been
Really.
fighting injury like this whole past year, so
Yeah. So
Which is kind of a-
hopefully-
it's very explainable on that. Yeah. Hopefully, like you say, he's getting back into it, and I think this is a promising showing.
yeah,
with
this is probably
Basho.
our best Ozeki Basho in a while, where we had one
Yeah.
with 12 wins in the June Yusho and one with 10 wins. And then the Ozeki who's joining them just won the Yusho. So we'll kind of see where that goes in November.
Ooh.
Well, 2020 is 2020, so chances are at least one of them's going to be catastrophic in some way or another.
That's fair. And
Yeah,
you know what?
we
I'm
did
still
get-
going to put money on Shodai. I still don't believe in him.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's as much as I'm neutral about the guy, you know, it's a very 2020 thing for him to get the Yusho and Ozeki promotion, and watch him get another Yusho and Yokozuna next Basho.
Wow.
Well, no, he would not get. I don't believe he would get promotion to Yokozuna if he won the next tournament. I think it has to be
But it will
at
happen.
Ozeki.
It's 2020.
It
It
will
will happen. The freak accident.
Something will happen. It's
Yeah,
gonna. Yeah.
Flerk's not saying that it should happen or it's within the rules that happen. He's just saying that it is destined to happen.
Is going
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
happen.
All right, let's drop down, talk about the Sekiwake besides Shodai a little bit, and we'll start with Mitaki Yumi, who went 8-7, and it's probably the end of his 5th, 6th, 7th, 11th Ozeki run going up in flames. Unless, of course, he goes 13-2 in November and wins the Yusho, which we all know is impossible because that's going to be cold.
Impossible.
And so, like, I don't know what was going on with Mitake Yumi. He didn't pull out with any sort of injury. He couldn't even manage to beat an injured Kiri Bayama in a long, protracted match where you think that would favor the person who didn't pull out earlier in the tournament and shoulder was still clearly heavily affecting them. You'd think Mitake Yumi would win that kind of match to get to 9 wins and keep his Ozeki run on more than just life support. But no, he couldn't even do that. He finishes with an 8-7 record, and it doesn't even matter that win by Mitake Yumi on day 15 would have given me 1 more point than Jake, and I wouldn't have had to participate in the rap battles whatsoever. I don't know. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying that they hear rumors and stuff that Mitake Yumi doesn't ever want to be an Ozeki, which I don't know that I believe.
You do have a lot more responsibility. Like you got to do stuff and be a champion rank and shit like that.
Well, then he shouldn't be winning Yushos, and he shouldn't be in the sport of sumo. If you don't want to compete at your very best, and so I don't think this about him at all, but if you're not competing to be the top, the very best, then what are you even doing there? Besides,
it's not his fault he's so good, you know. He just wants to live the low level Chanko Bond, Chanko Chef life, you know, just kind of like Hanakaze, 50 years old, making Chanko for the Heya. But he just keeps on winning, you know, so he has to keep on doing these practice things, you know, teaching younger Rikshi, winning Yushos, you know,
curse this infernal talent.
Yeah. So wait, Ryan, am I gathering that Mitake Yumi is now dead to you?
He, in a way, yes, because I am making a solemn vow to never select Mitake Yumi again in the prediction series. He has burnt me one too many times. I will never again when he wins his next Yusho, in May of next year, and we're all is this the time? I'm gonna be standing in the corner with my arms crossed, no, of course it's not. You idiots. How many times do you have to see this before you get it through your thick skulls? It's not gonna happen. He can't
at least
do it
once
for 3
more.
straight tournaments. You're a glutton for punishment, then, sir.
I see we're at Shodai levels of never trusting again.
No,
that's what I'm
I don't
here.
trust him, but I'm still cheering for him. I still want to see it happen. I just can't trust the man. It's not like he's Goedo, where I absolutely hate him and know he's never going to do anything worthwhile. It's that I believe he can, but he never does, and it's so infuriating.
Just wait. We'll see after he blows a couple more leads.
That's the kind of passion that sounds like you are almost ready to be hurt again.
Yep.
It will not take very long.
I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. I'm always ready to be hurt again.
Wow. Okay, fine.
I thought we were pretending that they weren't real this year.
Oh, I'm treating
at
every
this point.
sport with an asterisk this year. And when the Vikings finish 0-16, I'd be like, yeah, but this year didn't count. COVID's weird.
Oh, that's 2020. Yeah, no, that was no.
That didn't count.
Nope.
So that's my situation with the guy I selected to be my champ. Never again will I select him to be my champ until he has the rank of Ozeki. Never again will he be my champ.
Which would only be in May or July, maybe September.
Mac,
Yeah, and once that happens,
don't get your hopes up, man. You're gonna fall and crash just like me.
But once it
Just
happens,
like Mr.
though,
J-Wags.
Oh, J-Wax.
but once he's an Ozeki, though, then he'll never win another Yusho. So then I don't know.
Wait.
It's
Then I can hate on him for being Goedo again. As soon as he's Ozeki and he starts pulling
That's a
this crap,
double-edged sword.
yeah, then he'll be Goedo. But right now he's a Sekiwake, so maybe that's why he doesn't want to be Ozeki. He knows that my ire will come for him if he doesn't perform.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move on to Flaric's champ and the reason he is in this position. You know what, Flaric? I haven't heard the 2 loveliest words that Mac has ever heard from you for a while.
Oh, yes, please. Serenade me.
Yokozuna Mac.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Would you like anything? Would you like some tea? Would you like some chanko?
No. Flaric, your sweet words, my Tsukebito Flaric, your sweet words, which I will hear later in this episode, are all the payment I need.
Okay, I'll go back to doing your laundry.
Thank you very much.
As the guy who edited that segment that's coming up later, they're not all that sweet.
So Flaric's champ was Daisho, and ooh. And so I have a new theory that Daisho is Thanos, but just like on a very
You're
micro
comparing him to
level.
Josh Brolin?
He must keep things even. He must keep his record even, as all things should be.
Okay.
Because he was bouncing back and forth between 8 and 7, 7 and 8 for like a year and a half. And then he does 11 and 4. Like, holy crap, Daisho, 11 and 4. What are you doing, buddy? And then he's like, no. I got you. 5 and 10. I'm even again. You're welcome.
I think in our previous episode, you had asked me whether it was this last one or not. Maybe it was the recap, but you had said, "Is this a fluke or not?" And I believe I said it was a fluke, and I was right.
Good call by Yokozuna Mac there.
Thank you.
Very, very wise. The most wise, one might even say on this podcast.
Very wise, indeed.
Certainly the trait I think of first when I think of Mac.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, who was that?
Oh,
Yokozuna
yeah.
Mac. Sorry.
Oh, thank you.
And so I don't think there's anybody on this podcast happier than Jake about this, because Jake can go back to forgetting Daisho's face and pretending he doesn't exist.
I'm not even sure who we're talking about.
Then we'll talk about our Komosubi just ever so briefly, as their sumo showed up this tournament ever so briefly. Endo was 3 and 12. He pulled out on day 12, citing a knee injury. Apparently, he had liquid drained from that knee on day 4 or 5, and he has been given a 4-week recovery. Okino Umi went 4 and 11 and has no excuses for his performance.
Thank you, Okino Umi. I appreciate you.
Endo, as we talked about on the midway, though, Endo, he did stick around just long enough for his Super 2 proc on day 1, and he annihilates somebody way better than him.
Yep.
And then stumbles immediately back into mediocrity.
Or worse.
Or worse, yes.
Or worse than mediocrity, yes.
And then we move down to our Maegashira 1, where a good tournament for them. So Terano Fuji, he did get his Kachikoshi. We did put the curse on him. All of us chose Terano Fuji to win the Yusho after day 8. And then he started racking up the losses after he got his Kachikoshi. He had 2 straight losses on days 11 and 12, and then pulled out on day 13, citing an injury to his knee. And I think I saw somewhere that said he had osteoarthritis.
That's a bad.
I'd believe it.
That's a bad.
I was
That's like something as an 80-year-old knee age you get, right?
yes, but yeah, I was all hype on our next Ozeki is our ex-Ozeki Terano Fuji, and now after one more tournament, I'm at the point where like, yeah, he's never going to be Ozeki again.
No.
Yeah. We're here for the long-term predictions, that's for sure.
Yeah,
We don't let that silly recency bias get in our way.
Never.
because my reasoning is he could very well win another Yusho or 2, but he's never going to put together 2 or 3 straight tournaments where his knees are completely healthy.
Sure.
We'll see. He was in the Yusha race for most of this, so
He was.
I think there might be a chance. I think it'd be trouble once Asadoyama figures him out, which I think probably will be I'll give Asadoyama the benefit of the doubt that will happen eventually. But Terano Fuji definitely has his number at the moment, though.
Yes.
Yeah, they both have a lot of talent, but if Asanoyama's got the longer lasting body at this point, that may be the thing that turns the tide and turns that from being a rivalry into just one more person for Asanoyama to beat up on regularly.
Let's talk about the other Maegashira 1 West. And I wanted Jake to talk about this guy, Takanosho. He is 10 and 5. And I'm pretty sure for Jake, this guy falls into a Daisho category at this point. So, Jake, do we need to start talking about Takanosho more? This guy is going to be Sekiwake come November.
Yeah, I absolutely think that we do need to start talking about him. And fortunately for me, for whatever reason, his face is much more recognizable to me than Daisho's. But I was just
smile.
When I saw that my name was by this bullet point on the outline, I went and I checked back. I try to write like a sentence, maybe give or take, for every match. For literally 3 different days, of this tournament, the one sentence I wrote for Takanosho is Takanosho actually good? Forgetting that I had already done that.
yeah.
But yeah, it was, let's see, his win over Kageyaki, his win over Teruno Fuji, and Daisho. Yeah, so like 3 times I was like, is this guy actually good? I don't remember who he is yet, but I think he's pretty good.
The Jake process of just always kind of forgetting people until
That's
he asks
why
that
I write
question
things down.
many
Yeah,
times.
I write things down and promptly forget them so that I never have to worry about them again until I get to my notes and I see that I've taken the same notes several times. But no, I'm excited for him. I definitely thought a tournament or two ago, he and Kiri Bayama were kind of in position to both be like potentially the next prospect to make a splash. And I think at this point, Takanosho has definitely confirmed that he is the guy out of that pair for the time being, depending on how bad Kiri Bayama's injury turns out to be. But Takanosho getting a 10-5 from Maegashira 1, super respectable. He's a very, very Oshi-focused wrestler, which, unless you're Takakesho, isn't necessarily the best setup to be if you're starting to be in discussions to be in the elite. But regardless, I think that he's somebody I'm going to remember who he is and what I wrote about him yesterday, starting next tournament.
Yeah, because he's been on a very impressive run since he got back into the Makuuchi division in November of last year. He's probably fairly close to the wins totals of like the top wins totals in all of the Makuuchi division over the past 5 Basho, because he went 10-5, then a little stumble at 7-8. And then he went 12-3, won the June Yusho in March, was up to Maegashira 2, went 8-7, and then at Maegashira 1 went 10-5. So he's been on a pretty impressive run with 3 double-digit winning tournaments out of the past 5. And he'll be at Sekiwake, so we'll see how he does.
It seems like a couple times he's been given a bump in competition and not necessarily faltered, but like held steady. When that happens, and last time when he was bumped into the Joy, he held steady at 8-7, which is about as good as you can as reasonably hope for. You know, some phenoms, of course, will blow that away, but 8-7 the first time you're in the Joy, perfectly respectable. And then he got used to it and only got better from there.
So of the Rikishi ranked ahead of him, so that'd be everybody Teruno Fuji and up, he went 5-2 against those Rikishi, only losing to Oki no Umi and Shodai.
So you're saying 3 of his losses were not good losses?
He lost to Takayama, which was a bad one, because Takayama sucked this time. He lost to Hokuto Fuji, because that's understandable. I mean, Hokuto Fuji's a god amongst men.
It's
and he lost to Tobizaru, who was a man on fire this tournament.
Gotcha. So yeah, the loss to Tobizaru doesn't look nearly as bad as the loss to Oki no Umi.
Or Takayama, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Oki no Umi being ranked ahead of him, but still, that's a worse loss than losing to Tobizaru this Basho.
Yeah. So we've been mean to Fleric for most of this episode, and we're going to continue being mean to Fleric because
it's going to get worse.
Yes. Fleric is a shit person
nothing less.
who should feel bad about himself at all times.
Yeah. You're right.
Oh.
And so I'm going to be nice to him. I know that he has fallen in love with Mr. Tobizaru, so I'm going to let him wax poetic about Tobizaru for however long he can manage.
Yeah. As I was cuddling a homeless person underneath a bridge, the one thing that kept me going all during that night was the rats who were just kind of nibbling on my body, but also Tobizaru. Oh my goodness, I love this guy. He is. I don't know what it was, but for some reason, as soon as I saw him, like I just fell in love with him. And I think the reasons is just he has some very exciting sumo. Like he's very strong, but he also has like a bunch of different moves. I think Jake said like he had a lot of Hataki Komi kind of wins on his profile when we were.
Tons.
Yeah, so he's not afraid to pull, which is kind of a prerequisite for me on being like a favorite Rikishi and stuff. Those Rikishi who just only want to move forward, like Hokuto Fuji and such, like I don't know, like that's too one-dimensional for me. Like you have to have some like other moves in that.
You got to go in reverse, man.
But yeah, like the guy, like he had some great pulls, especially against Sho Hozan on day 2. That was fantastic.
There's the joke here about Fleric only loving men who pull other men.
Yeah.
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 There probably is.
My wife is in the kitchen and has no idea about the context of this conversation, but I heard her give 2 hearty chuckles after that comment.
That's the best you're going to hope for.
Yep.
But yeah, he has some moves. Like he's not afraid to spin. He did some leg catches. Like he did a Kotanage. He had, I thought, a really smart Tachiai on day 13 when like he had hit really soft and immediately kind of did a redirection for Takanosho. He's kind of like an Enho with like a huge bag of tricks, but not like super tiny, so you can actually kind of do some sumo at the same time. It's great. And the best part, like he looked good against like the top matches. Like when he against Takakesho and Shodai, like he wasn't out of it. He was in those matches, like especially against Shodai. So I am excited. He has a cool name too, Tobizaru, which means flying monkey. I like the guy. Hopefully he does well. I'm gonna be keeping my eye on him, and hopefully he gets up to the. I guess he won't get up to the joy like Terunofuji did, but hopefully he gets up. We see some more high level matches from him next Basha.
All right, Fleric is starting to sound a little too hopeful on this episode. Jake, why don't you say something mean to Fleric?
Would it be more hurtful to make it a personal insult, or can I say something bad about Tobizaru still?
Ooh, either I think would work.
Okay. I am going to predict that Tobizaru is not going to be able to replicate this score anytime soon, not just because he'll be moving up the Bansuke and facing harder guys, but because it felt to me like he was kind of like when Enho got into the division. It's somebody whose style is not familiar, and Tobizaru is flying all over the place, not afraid to pull, not afraid to spin, not afraid to be unorthodox. And I feel like that it's one of those, it's the classic guy who debuts in the Makuuchi division, goes 10-5, gets a special prize. Everybody's like, he could be the next big thing. And then they just kind of settle into somewhere in the mid or lower Maegashira ranks, just because the style is more novel than it is good. And I'm worried that's what's going on with Tobizaru. Like his it's not necessarily that he's doing cool, flashy moves. To me, it always felt like he was just flying along by the seat of his pants and making stuff work because he is a talented guy, but it's not necessarily something that will work when, people have a little bit more practice against it. That's kind of what I'm thinking for Tobizaru, but I'm not really sure.
All right. Well, first of all, that did hurt. You shut your mouth.
Okay, good. That's more what I was going for than legit analysis.
Who else has like huge bag of tricks? Who's not afraid to spin, not afraid to pull? That's Hakuho, and you see what happened to him. So I'm just saying, there's a correlation there, and maybe Tobizaru is the next
Yokozuna.
And I would like to remind Fleric that his life-size Bulma pillow does not count as a real girlfriend. But let's move on to the other former Ozeki.
It's more hurtful because we can see it in the background of your
the webcam.
Let's talk about the other former Ozeki in this tournament. In our preview episode, we predicted which former Ozeki would get Kachikoshi and which would get Makekoshi. And you know what, guys? This was a team effort. We went 4 for 4 on that front.
Hooray!
We said Terunofuji would get a Kachikoshi, and he sure did. We said Takayasu would get a Kachikoshi. He got 10-5. He's going to be, I believe he will be Komosubi in the next tournament.
Yes, Ryan, tell me your predictions just a little bit more. Yes.
No, your computer will get no more data from me.
Oh, no. Keep it going. It's all good. It's all good.
And I do like the competition that you guys are now both predicting Bansuke's. It makes it more fun. It drives Ryan. I can tell that he is just
It's fun until I lose one.
And
then I'm going to be putting an end to that crap.
And then it's over.
Just you wait.
Then we shut it all down.
Yeah, exactly. And then we had Tochi Noshin, who I predicted would have a losing record, and he did with a 6-9. And we had Koto Shokiku, who we predicted would have a losing record, and he did not the way we thought, because he
No.
got, as we mentioned on the Midway episode, he got injured, pulled out, and then came back in. He only managed one more win against Enho on day 8, I believe, and then lost his final 7 matches. He will probably be dropping down to Juryo, and apparently he's come out and said he's not going to be retiring. There was an article on the Tachiai blog saying that he is not planning on retiring. So it sounds like we could very well see Koto Shokiku performing down in Juryo the next tournament.
There you go. He has like one more yacht he needs to buy. So he like, I need a couple more Basha on the salary ranks. Then I can retire.
The last time that he was in Juryo, I was in my freshman year of high school.
Holy cow.
Damn.
Ah, it's a little while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be 2004.
2005, but the beginning of it.
Okay.
Jeez.
Yeah, and since then, let's see, there's only 3. This is only the 5th tournament that he's missed any days. He's been, obviously, he was in Ozeki for ages. Let's see, before his current run, it was 2006, the last time he was in double-digit Maegashira. Yeah, he had a hell of a run, that is for sure. Whether or not it's, it's obviously not ending right now, but I think we're all on the same page that another tournament or two, if it's not clicking for him, he's probably going to be done.
Yeah.
What I really appreciated was, even in the matches that the guys that would square off against Koto Shokiku, you could visibly see that he could not put any weight on his foot after a while. And as soon as he was escorted out of the ring in whatever Kimarite, the other Rikishi was just like, okay, chill. You lost. I'm going to make sure you're not going to fall. You're not going to do anything else.
Yeah.
They all stop and make sure he's okay.
Yeah. My hot take is I actually hate that, because I bet a couple Rikishi went into the match saying, like, I don't want to hurt this Grandpa Koto Shokiku. And maybe because Koto Shokiku got a couple wins despite being very injured. And I think maybe that was part of it. Which
But
I
the
think
same
is
thing happened to
Flair,
that happened
you're
to
wanting these
Yoshikaze.
You want these young men to go hard at a clearly injured Koto Shokiku and
There's no
damage him
honor.
even more? What is wrong with you?
There's
Cleric
no
hates the
honor in
elderly.
that.
Yep. They are elderly in their knees. And who else do I hate now? I can't see Shodai now because I'm neutral against him.
You hate Teruno Fuji now. You hate his knees.
I guess, yeah. I hate only his knees specifically.
And Tochinoshin, you gotta hate his knees.
He has like, what, 6-year-old knees. I think he's kind of okay for now.
What has this tournament done to Fleric?
Yeah,
I did
mean,
look it up, and I guess only Enho lost to Koto Shokiku after he had his recent.
Well, he got
Ren.
pancaked.
Yeah. I bet Enho just lost. So, but
Well, yeah.
I don't know. I've seen that happen a couple other times, so I'm always kind of a little salty against it.
You're gonna have to explain that logic to me one more time. What are you salty about when people realize they're going up against somebody that is clearly injured? Like Koto Shokiku's trying to win that match. He can't. The other guys are pushing him out of the ring, and they're being gentle so they don't knock him out or force him to fall off the dohyo.
I guess I imagine it into the eyes of his opponent. Like, he's clearly injured, and so do I go full out and give him as hard as a tachi as I can, or hard of a shove near the edge as I can, because I could probably win the match if I do that. But since he's injured, he's probably not going to be able to brace himself. He might fall over and do more damage to himself. It's kind of it's one of those extra things when you have in your mind, which I think that sometimes I think makes some people hesitate, which I think is kind of a shitty thing to put into your opponent's mind for that, I guess.
So you're mad at Koto Shokiku for being injured because it's one more thing that their opponents have to take into consideration to not further injure him.
Yeah.
Bingo.
You might be kind of have something right because they're both consenting, going at each other. But if you're injured, you should probably just stay injured. I guess.
Oh,
is
I
the
agree.
thing.
I think we all agree with that.
Yes.
Let's talk about some other people who were injured this tournament. We mentioned Kiri Bayama before. He pulled out on day 10. I believe he was still kind of in Yusho contention at that point when everybody was in Yusho contention. He pulled out with a shoulder injury, and he came back 3 days later on day 13. And to his credit, he won his final 3 matches to pull a 9-6 record when it looked like he was going to be going to Makekoshi Town. But he still looked hurt, though, particularly on his day 13 win. After he won, his just arm hung by his side. So who knows how smart it was for him to do that. He's going to be jumping back up the ranks, but hopefully not at a cost to his health. Chiyo Tairyu also left this tournament. I believe that was on day 13, the same day as Teru no Fuji. I don't have any details about why he left. Frankly, because I don't really care that much about him and didn't go looking all that hard.
I believe he, in his day 12 match, he sprained one of his sideburns.
Devastating injury. That's one you can't come back a couple days later in the tournament.
No, you really got to give that one time to rest. Otherwise, like it just won't look right.
Yeah.
Does that make 5 Kyujo for Aki?
So if we can count Hakuho, Kakuryu, Ishiura, those are all injury-related pullouts. I'm not counting Abi here. Then you had Teru no Fuji, you had Takayama, Kiri Bayama, Chiyo Tairyu, Endo, Koto Shokiku, Kyoku Taisei. So that is 10 people at some point who pulled out for injury, plus Abi, who never entered because he's still a dumbass.
Wow.
To be fair, we don't have proof that he is still a dumbass.
He
Well,
was
that's
at least
true.
once a dumbass.
We have a lot of evidence that it's most likely the case.
Yeah. So yeah, very injury-prone Basho. A lot of that, maybe that's because they can't do as much training as they were before. I don't have all the details, but it sounds like they're going to start ramping up, allowing Daigeko before the November tournament. They're going to start allowing more things because I think things are going a little bit better in Japan than they currently are in the United States. But that's a whole other podcast, so we're not going to get into that. What we are going to get into is my little fandom experiment where I had 3 young bucks, Wakataka Kage, Koto Shoho, and Hoshoryu. And Flaric had told me that I am cheering for Koto Shoho this tournament. And I did. I cheered for Koto Shoho, even when he was up against Wakataka Kage and Hoshoryu. And he's still clearly the next Yokozuna. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
He is good.
Talent through the roof. But I got to say, watching this tournament, Wakataka Kage absolutely cemented himself in my heart.
I love how you flip-flop between loving Wakataka Kage and hating Wakataka Kage.
Well, when did I ever hate Wakataka Kage? Well, there was that one time where he lost once, and then I
Thank you.
absolutely
He
despised
said
he's
you were
dead
dead
to
to
me.
him.
but no, the memes are becoming more than just dreams. He's actually good. Like his first 2 full tournaments in the Makuuchi division, he went 10-5, and now he's gone 11-4. Follow the pattern: 12-3, 13-2, 14-1, then 15-0 for the rest of the way out. Like this,
After which he breaks Sumo, and then there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
exactly, yeah. So I'm just cheering for Wakataka Kage to go beyond plus ultra for the rest of his career. He's going to be in the Joy for the November tournament, so that's going to be his first real test. And honestly, it's probably going to be 7-8 and dead to me at that point because
Yeah.
the hype train has no brakes. It only has dynamite, so it'll explode and go and just
tracks are
completely be
gone.
gone with no chance of ever getting back on the tracks or being put back together if he ever has a losing record at any point.
Yeah, this makes a lot more sense now. I forgot that you don't want someone who's actually good. You want someone who's a helpless cause, like Hokuto Fuji. So yeah, I think this would do pretty well.
Wow.
Like I said, I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. I'm inherently drawn to those sort of things.
A glutton for punishment.
But it's also like Hokuto Fuji, one of his things that really got into my heart, he has the foot stomp right before he goes down into the Tachiai. And Wakataka Kage has like a similar tick, literally a tick. Well, not literally a bug tick, but like, you know what I mean? We're like, did you guys notice that when he's in his Tachiai, like his head is just like doing a like a weird tick when he's down in his tachi eye, like every single time. I don't know. I just like latching onto those things, and he's good at the same time. He's young. He's got the best shikona in all of wrestling. So
all of wrestling.
This is my number. Oh yeah, like he's better than wrestlers' names now are like Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins. Nobody has an interesting name. So even in WWE, he has a better name than all of them. So Wakataka Kage officially number 2 in my heart. And you know what? He could. There's a chance. The first one to win a Yusho will forever be my number 1 between him and Hokuto Fuji.
A very bold claim there.
Just because he puts it in the outline doesn't mean we have to go along with Ryan every time he just wants to talk about his favorite guys in the middle of the Bansuke for half an hour.
Yes, but the problem is he will just talk over us, and then it's just gibberish, and then it's more of a pain for you to edit.
That's a good point. I can just edit it out much easier than I can edit like cleaning up, talking over each other.
Exactly.
I tell you guys when I finish the outline, I always say, feel free to add anything that you want. It's not my fault. You never do.
The problem is you don't give us freedom to subtract things.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's where the issue is.
Hey, we just talked about 2 more Rikishi. Like that's just more content for the fans. That doesn't matter why it happened. That's just good podcasting right there.
Yeah, rationalize it however you want, Ryan.
This is the 10-hour Grand Sumo breakdown of every
never
Rikishi
ends.
and why we love and hate each one.
I would be all about that. Let's
move
on.
Sanities, let's not.
Let's move on. We always have to stop by and check Enho because he is the reigning, defending, most popular Rikishi in all of sumo, according to our poll that we had last year. So he went 6-9 this Basho.
Nice.
It was a terrible start, but he did turn it around in week 2. So Mac, what did you see from Enho in like week 2 that allowed him to win, to not like be absolutely embarrassed?
Well, he's still short, so I can confirm that. Still has the baby face, and still definitely is the one that my wife cries over when he loses. She's the only one that yells at the screen going, no, don't do that. So it's a terrible representation of my wife there. But looking at how he can actually win some of his matches, we saw it against Oyama. And honestly, standing up at the Tachi isn't bad. Now, while that's not a purist form of sumo, it works because he can outmaneuver his opponents some of the time. Not always, but I think he just needs to be a little more wiry, a little more spry, and do not go low at the Tachi because then you end up like a Koto Shokiku situation where you get under the belly and then Koto Shokiku realizes my belly's on top of him. I'm just going to fall down and completely pancake him. He had several Yorito Oshis and Oshito Oshis this tournament. And it was like, oh, that wasn't good.
Yeah, I think it's less of a he shouldn't do this or he should do this. I think it's more of this time around he apparently couldn't keep people off guard guessing which he would do. Like whether he's going to go low at the Tachi or go sideways or around somebody or at the Tachi, whatever it is that he wants to do, he needs to somehow make the other guy doubt or think that he's going to do something else. Because if somebody's patient with him, if somebody just kind of, takes a reserved Tachi and just keeps him at arm's length, then you're fine. You're stronger than Enho, as everyone is. You're stronger than him. Just don't let him get in where he can like trip and climb all over you like a toddler, freaking out on their uncle. But like he needs to be able to keep somebody guessing long enough to do something. And it looked like a lot of the matches this time, they just knew they were prepared with the defense for 3 or 4 of the things that he was going to try right away, and that just kept him from getting inside, kept him from hooking a leg or doing something wacky. And yeah, it just doesn't work as well as it used to when people didn't know him very well.
All right. Is there anybody else that we want to touch on before we go down and start talking about the lower division stuff?
We could talk about Wakataka Kage a little bit more, right?
Ooh, yes, we can. So
Damn it,
Wakataka Kage,
Cleric.
he went 11-4 this
Oh, no.
tournament.
I didn't mean it. Stop.
Stop. He
Let's go on,
The only-
Jurio.
all right, fine.
Last thing on the top division for me with Teruno Fuji, we picked him to win at the midway, and we said it then, and we knew it that we were cursing him, right?
Mhm.
We need to
Yes.
find a way to use this power for good. I don't
Hmm.
know what it is. I think we should probably do the casino somehow. But
All right, let's do it.
we need to utilize this power that we have tested and honed in sumo wrestling.
The question is, who do we
Don't.
curse?
Don't pick this person.
Yeah.
We'll have to think long and hard about that before our preview episode and see if we can do some reverse psychology and get the outcome to exactly what we want it to be.
Yep. Guys, Kageyaki's gonna win.
Oh,
Don't put that evil out there, Fleric. Just
Yeah.
I
I'm
know
sorry.
you're
Yeah.
bitter, but you don't
Yikes.
need to bring the rest of us down.
It's not funny anymore.
Yeah. We were having fun. Now this podcast is just sad. Let's talk about
Good.
the Yusho winners from the lower divisions. So in Juryo, we had Chiyo no Kuni, who won his third career Juryo Yusho. In Makushita, we had Teresawa, who won his first career Makushita Yusho. Pretty sure this guy is Asanoyama's Sukebito, and he has also won a Jonokuchi and Sandanme Yusho. So he looks like he could be somebody to watch out for in the future. In Sandanme, we had Hoku Tenkai, who won his first career Sandanme Yusho. He is a 21-year-old from Mongolia. He has previously won a Jonidan Yusho. Speaking of Jonidan, Hoku Seiho, he won that Yusho. That is his first career Jonidan Yusho. He is 18 years old in his second career Basho. He won the Jonokuchi Yusho in July, and so far is undefeated in his career. We will see if he can make
Yeah.
it 3 in
He's-
a row.
He's the huge recruit for the Miyagi-No Hakuho stable, I'm pretty sure. He is
Ah.
a big boy.
That
He
seems to be
is,
working out pretty well so far.
Yeah. I think lots of people are keeping his eye on him and how he's probably going to do pretty well.
Yeah, who knew that being gigantic would like be a boon to your sumo wrestling?
Ichinojo, hot take on that.
And then Jonokuchi, Hisano Tora. This is his third career Jonokuchi Yusho. I want to do some research to see how many people have won 3 Jonokuchi Yusho. He is 31 years old, and he is coming back from one of many injuries that he's had in the past, which is why he's won the Jonokuchi Yusho 3 times. We are recording late enough that we know who is going to be promoted from Makushita up to Juryo. And so sound your air horns because Ura is back in Juryo. He will be a Sekitori confirmed for the November tournament, along with Jokoryu, who randomly enough got a mention earlier in this podcast.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that's in that 21-0 club winning.
Yeah.
Uh,
9 Bashos to get the Makuuchi. Number
I
1.
personally love his name. I will follow this man.
Jokoryu?
I will follow this man just
All
for
right.
his name alone.
There you go.
He absolutely rocketed to the top when he started, and then he was done with being at the top. And then he's just kind of been
And
like,
he wasn't.
yeah, he's been floundering in Makushita and a little bit of Juryo for like 5 years
Yeah.
now.
And a little bit of bad news, but because of good news. So bad news, Naya had 5-2 at Makushita 5. Could have been enough to get him up to Juryo, but it's not quite enough for him this time to get up to Juryo. So hopefully he gets like a 4-3 in November, and we'll see him up in Juryo for the first time in 2021. But the reason he did not get promoted is because the Tamanoi Beya Rikshi are going to keep their same rank that they had for this previous tournament. So these are the Rikshi that were held out of the tournament because of the coronavirus. So they are not going to be demoted because of their absence, whether they tested positive for it or not. Everybody will keep their same rank that they had in the previous tournament. And so there were 2 guys at the bottom of the Juryo Bansuke in Azumaryu and not Kizuki, Fujiazuma. Both of those guys are going to remain in Juryo. So there's a spot, 2 spots that weren't opened up, but that's good. It's nice to see that they took the fact that it was beyond their control that they were held out of this. So I'm very happy to see that they made that decision. kind of a little unexpected, but nice at the same time. And the final thing before we go into break, the Yokozuna Deliberation Council met and were just generally grumpy old men about the Yokozuna, just kind of hem-hawing them, but ultimately made no suggestions about what they were going to do or suggest for the Yokozuna to like say, hey, perform or else, or whatever they do. They just said that they were going to wait to see what happens in November. So a very pointless meeting from them. But with that being said, we are going to take a quick break. We're going to have our check in with the GSB belt, see where that lands, and then a punishment you are not going to want to miss.
Yeah, but first, here's a preview of the next episode of our investigative journalism arm, Under the Mawashi.
This week on Under the Mawashi, Jake sits down for an interview with Dr. Tiberius Dante von Hasselhoff, the controversial founder and head coach of UFO Sumo Academy and author of the Kokukikan Press bestseller, Blood, Sweat, and Lizard People, a sumo wrestler's guide to the astral plane.
Thanks so much for spending some time letting us get to know you, Dr. Tiberius Dante von Hasselhoff.
Time is an illusion, bro.
Yeah.
Look into it.
Dr. von Hasselhoff shares the enlightenment he's gained through his extensive travels and writings.
Yeah, man. So, since I went on my vision quest in the jungles of Norway, we actually have a lot to learn about sumo from the Norwegians. I've come to realize that the hands are actually irrelevant to sumo wrestling.
What? Really?
Yeah, I think it's something a lot of wrestlers believe but don't want to admit.
Uh-huh.
Find out how the most creative mind in sumo really ticks.
So, your gym is known for some very exciting and unorthodox techniques. What can you tell me about how you develop new strategies for competition?
I'm glad you asked, Jake. I think our training process is what really makes UFO sumo. You know what I'm saying? It's wild.
Yeah, but like how?
Yeah, dude. Exactly.
Jake asks the hard-hitting questions to reveal the man behind all the buzz.
So, I guess what about outside the gym? What else do you like to do with your time?
Oh, a little of this and a little of that. I'm a big fan of chemtrail. Wait, hold on. Is this place bugged?
Well, yeah, we're recording an interview. Are you just going to sit there gesturing silently the rest of this conversation, Dr. von Hasselhoff?
Don't say my name. They'll know I was here.
How do you sell books?
I'm writing a new one, actually.
Pray tell.
It's about a new idea I have called QAnon.
Okay, buddy.
All this and more coming up as Grand Sumo Breakdown takes a peek under the Mawashi.
All right, Jake, let's get through this real quick. I want to get to the punishments. GSB belt, go.
Nothing exciting happened in week 2. Chino Kuni regained the belt at the halfway mark and then kept it.
Well,
So he's now a 14-time.
Nope. Never.
Fine.
And so now we are at the results of our tournament, and Mac won. Yay him.
Hey. What's my name?
Sorry, Yokozuna Mac won.
Thank you.
Big props to Mr. Yokozuna Mac.
Mad props. Right here.
Oh, Yokozuna. Yokozuna. I have your tea right here.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
We should do a quick once over of like who's on what team, just so like we just to explain how we ended up at the scores we did and such.
So Yokozuna Mac, explain how you ended up at your result quickly, because really want to get to this punishment.
Ryan, be patient.
Rather quickly. Okay. So initially, my foresight allowed me to pick Teruno Fuji, a quite good choice up until the injuries started piling up. But then, thanks to the rule that we instigated later on in the series to Brian's detriment, Basha, yes, it allowed me to replace Teruno Fuji with another of equal rank, and the replacement on that was equal record.
Well,
Did I not say
not rank. Rank didn't really matter. We just had to make sure that it was somebody of a similar, current results.
Right. But that turned out to be Takayasu, and he won out. and then Okinoumi was my chump. So did well with that. Very happy.
Yeah, wiped the floor with us. Me and Ryan both ended up at 20.
I finished in first, second to last place. So I will take over explaining how I did.
What?
I finished in first, second to last place. If you look at the numbers, it all makes sense. So
What
Shut
are
up.
you saying?
somehow I did better than Jake.
No.
I had Mitaki Yumi, who is dead to me in this series, and started off with Takayama, which was fantastic, but he did so bad that he had to pull out. So I switched over to Sada no Umi, who was like 3-5 at the time, and then he went 4-3 the rest of the way out. So that really pissed me off.
Yeah, that switch over didn't really help you out, but if you'd like to hear us discuss for a half a damn hour our process for picking new guys, you can see our midway episode. I had Asanoyama as my champ, so I pulled ahead of Ryan there a little bit, but then I had Hoshoryu as my chump, which was not as good as Ryan's picks at the end for the chump. In particular, it came down to 3 separate matches on day 15. There were points in play whether or not Asanoyama won, whether or not Mitaki Yumi won, and then our chumps faced off against each other. Sada no Umi versus Hoshoryu on the last day, and that went Ryan's way. So that got him a bonus point, and that's part of why we tied. So yeah, it was super, super tight, super stressful the entire time.
Yeah, that was bad.
But luckily for Ryan, when we tied, we decided that meant we would be a team for the rap battle. And because Asanoyama lost his first 3 matches, I already had 2 weeks of writing raps by that point. So we had a bit of a head start.
And I had 2 weeks of being a father to a newborn and not a whole lot of time to do much writing or prep. So, well, no, I am going to take this opportunity to very genuinely say thank you to Jake in the upcoming punishment, because I showed up to perform. At what level that performance was, we'll judge. But Jake absolutely carried us 100% in what I'm sure to be a very winning rap battle for us.
Oh,
So
absolutely. We're going to torch.
I do want to genuinely say, probably for the first time on this podcast, thank you, Jake, for all the work that you put into that punishment.
Yeah, and by that, he means I did most of the writing, but I was okay doing extra writing as long as I got Ryan to do his half of the execution, which is the real punishment.
Yes.
Yes, I will agree with that.
And Fleric, who'd you have on your team?
I made the mistake of acknowledging Daisho existed.
Ouch.
And that was pretty much my big downfall. Teratsuyoshi, he got me some points, but he who shall not be named. I'm already trying to wipe his face from my mind.
Not all that difficult for me.
Yeah.
Nope.
But no, that's saddening that you apparently had 2 weeks of prepping, while I definitely procrastinated to the last day.
Fleric, we knew like after the first 4 days that you were going to be the one to completely lose.
There was a chance. There was a chance.
It was always going to be you in this no matter what.
I was in a dark place, Ryan. I don't know if I told you about my roommates underneath the bridge, but it was
With the rats.
yeah. I was a little distracted.
Yeah, you definitely don't have an excuse, because it wasn't like me and Ryan, it was like we were bordering on getting second place and being safe. But there was never any doubt that you could have maybe gotten to third place. But definitely you couldn't have gotten into the safe slots.
That's true. I will say, like, of all the punishments, there have been definitely a handful that have been punishments, but this one was truly it wore on me. I did not like doing this one at all.
It was truly punishing, which is exactly what we were hoping for.
I hate this. I hate you guys. This is awful.
All right. Without further ado, we are going to shut the hell up and enjoy some rapping.
Before that, I'm sure you were going to get to it, but I just want to make sure we give credit to Mr. J Wags once again, our sumo music extraordinaire. He graciously provided us with the beat that we are rapping to.
Yeah, we pay him in exposure, which, as he mentioned the last time we interview him, that's what his landlord is really after when he comes banging on the door for rent. It's the exposure. Hey, how did he say it? It was like, hey, you got any YouTube likes in there? Oh,
Let me see it. Let me see it right now. Right here. All right,
Let me
you're
see
good
those
for
likes.
another month.
All right, thanks again, Jay Wags. Here we go.
This is YKZ Mac coming at you live from the GSB Doyo. We've got a grudge match for you tonight, and punishment will be doled out in droves. Keep those butts in their seats and press those earbuds down tight, because the auditory smackdown is about to come at you. That's right, it's main event time! He's been topping the charts all year long, but has suffered a devastating fall from grace. Will he redeem himself tonight? Make some noise for the ridiculous F-U-N-K! And now, the Brothers of Pain have arrived. These dastardly deadbeats are here to put the auditory hurt on all who would dare enter the dojo. It's the defaming duo of destruction. Give it up for DJ Dad Bod, Ryan, and MC Squared. DJ Wags, drop us a sick beat. Let the rap battle begin. Woo!
Ha 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 ha. This rap is dedicated to all my homies and their Kokuki Con. Ooh, this sucks. I don't want to be here. After 3 straight wins, you think we top tier. 3 bosses on the road, then that's quite a spree. If this was Sumo, I'd be Nozaki. First to last, now that's quite a blow. But you can't win them all, just look at Hakaho. Focus on the map, my ass he did kick. For Ryan and Jake, y'all suck dismayed. Hurt, my sadness did grow. Hockey just ain't right with no Guido. But I'll make it through thanks to a debut. The flying monkey called Tobizaru.
All right. First blood has been drawn. Now allow them to retort. Turn that tape back. Begin.
Yo, hockey yours! Jake and Ryan can't tell a voice apart, don't bother trying.
And we're teaming up today to embarrass Flair. We suck at picking sumo, but our boss are barbaric.
Step into our dojo, kick your ass in slow-mo, tear you up with sick flow, teach you a thing about sumo.
Big Tendency Yoshie's got a funky style, but he can't carry you the whole funkin' mile.
Dai show, more like Dai ain't shit. He's a push and thrust and seki waki wannabe nitwit. Your least favorite dude's always been Shodai, but Razor Toaster Shinozaki-san.
And I'll say a little something for the dearly departed. Rest in jury, Flair, your rhymes are hot garbage.
Oh, that was insane! How will they respond? Reset that beat. Begin.
Woo!
Haha. Wicca wicca. This rap is dedicated to my asshole friends. Whoa, hey, what the hell, man? I can tell by your jabs that you're not a fan, but that's okay, I'll take the swings. At least I don't like the 0-3 Vikings. Your predictions suck, admit they've blown. It's been about a year since y'all been on the throne. You're talking me in the summer, what the hell is that? Like Hokukuji in the Joy, that prediction falls flat. Hopefully Takayasu, a good bet, but he lost to Kageyaki, so not yet. But as much as you suck, I can't bonsai, because I have to live with Nozaki Shodai. Yeah.
That had to sting. But what are you gonna do about it? Bring that beat back again. Begin.
You call that a rap trying to barbecue me? I'm falling asleep, look what you first did to me. Like Mario Kart and your silly K-drama is our next diss track will send you crying to your mama.
Go easy there, Jake. He's having a tough time watching League of Legends Worlds with no Cloud9. Yeah, he predicts sumo like he busts a rhyme. I'm on my way, guys, but he ain't on time.
You got lucky till now, cause we were just talking sumo and you didn't have to worry about our lyrical judo. You know he can't sing for crap, can't carry a tuna.
But when we're spitting fire with a Flokazuna, you lose in here like ultimate. Go grab a crap beer and deal with it. Better practice your pulling technique, son.
Unlike your hipster phase, this battle is done.
Oh! Oh my goodness! I cannot believe those bars! This is unbelievable! Sheer pandemonium, I tell you! Who won? Who won? You need to decide! YKZ Mac out!
All right, there you go.
Oh my god.
I knew you were gonna talk about my League of Legends team Cloud9, but it still hurts.
Hey, I'm just saying, Team Liquid in there dominated the play-in stage all the way up into groups now. Just fantastic showing by them so far.
Oh Lord, my face hurts,
Yeah.
and not just from spitting hot fire.
I better go. I'm gonna have one of my hipster phase craft beers. I'll be back.
Crap beers, my good sir.
Yeah, I don't know if it was clear enough. I don't know if the enunciation was there for that one, but yeah, it's specifically crap beer, not craft beer.
You silly fool. That's the whole point of being a hipster, is to not have crap beer. It's okay. Someday you will learn.
We got you good.
Yeah. I was thoroughly impressed with that production, I would say.
Yeah,
that was
that's
pretty good.
I don't know how like as a podcast you always, or anything that you're doing and producing, like over time you want to get better. You want to top what you did before. I don't know how we can at this point.
Or a new low point, we can at least do that. Which
Or
is
better yet, both at the same time.
yeah.
I'm just happy we were able to keep Flaric's rampant racism out of that one.
Yeah, it took a feat of editing by you to do that, but very impressive.
Yeah. Great, good editing, Jake. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
the original was
Bravo.
just littered in slurs. It was a tremendous feat to even get it down to rated R.
yeah. So I was genuinely nice to you before we played that, so I don't have it in me to be nice to you again, like genuinely about how good you did with the editing of that. So it is all right.
Jeez.
But he was top shelf. That was Mac. Yokozuna Mac right there
thank you,
with the
thank you.
intros.
Yeah,
Well played.
YKZ Mac
Yeah,
Yo.
YKZ Mac. I'm sorry.
YKZ Mac, baby.
and DJ Wags.
And DJ
DJ
Wags.
God,
So my favorite part out of all of it was just Flaric at the beginning of his verses. Haha.
Wicca
Yeah.
Wicca.
Wicca Wicca.
I did
This
some
one goes
good
out to my
research.
asshole friends.
Yeah. I did some good research, which is mostly just listening to the Wild Wild West, and I learned from the best with my Wicca Wickas and the ha-ha.
Some Will Smith in there. Nice.
I wanted to be
man.
authentic.
And I can tell that Mac got his inspiration from the same place that I did, which was just a several hours long marathon of epic rap battles of history on YouTube.
Oh,
My night was not wasted. I love those.
Absolutely no regrets. Absolutely not.
that was
All
probably
right.
What were we doing?
one of the wildest things I've ever done. Let's move on.
Yes. That we have to leave it in the past, unfortunately.
Aw.
But we will move somehow, some way. We will top that. Jake
How
has
about the
now
bold
shown
predictions?
Jake has now shown that he is willing to put work into editing our punishments and
That is true.
putting production value into them. So that just opens up a whole wave of possibilities. But yes, Yokozuna Mac, you did bring up bold predictions. We had quite a few for this tournament, and we're going to start with at least his third or fourth mention today at Mr. J Wags.
J Wags.
DJ J Wags, he predicted that all Komosubi and Yokozuna would have Makekoshi, which they did, and he also predicted Takayasu would have more wins than Terra no Fuji, which he did. The just mandatory mention of Hata. He predicted that Terunofuji would go Kyujo, Kakuryu would go Kyujo. He also had an Entai kicker on the Kakuryu Kyujo. Not quite, but still enough to get the shout out. We also had at Lowska20. He predicted 10 plus wins for Shodai and Terunofuji to get Kachikoshi, but just barely. So he nailed both of those. At TimBoard64 correctly predicted a Shodai Yusho, as well as at Mark B predicted a Shodai Yusho. I believe at Mark B had a kicker in there for it'll be in a playoff, which almost happened, but still, he got the Shodai Yusho. And now we get to our lowlights of our predictions. A good friend of ours. We went to college with her. She is a fellow podcast host on the Sages of the Pages.
Semi-Sages.
Semi-Sages.
There it is.
A podcast about the process of writing.
Yes. Our friend Molly at Pretty Cool Socks on Twitter said, Shodai shits the bed. I pick with my heart, not my brain. And my heart tells me he's still hot garbage.
Not quite.
I knew Molly
Swing and a miss.
had some smart, at least some good taste.
But
You're okay in my book now. You're okay in my book, Molly.
the absolute winner, and I believe this is the second time that this has happened to at Hakioi Sumo. He has a tendency to just leave us with a long list of predictions, and they have a tendency to all be wrong. So this is literally the list that he sent us without leaving anything out. So Takayasu Yusho did not happen. Asadoyama Makekoshi did not happen. Shohozan double-digit Kachikoshi. Double-digit Makekoshi for him. Meisei double-digit Makekoshi. He had a winning record. Terunofuji Kinboshi. Erino Yokozuna. Can't happen. Endo 9-6. 3-12. And he had Enho going Kyujo. He participated the whole way through. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that 7 or 8? Completely incorrect predictions. I don't even know how you just stumble into one correct one.
Wow.
You got it. I feel like this is like what was it that Fleric, you learned there was something maybe a couple of Basho ago where like you deliberately learned just enough about something so that you could like be as wrong as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what it was, but I feel like Hakioi Sumo might be trolling us here.
Yeah, it is a tight rope to walk of just knowing just enough to be wrong, but not enough to actually like get into the thing and like actually be able to like hold a conversation for longer than like 10 seconds. So it's possible he could be doing this pretty well. We'll see though. I think we need some more data on this.
Yeah, by all means, please keep sending us your predictions.
Yes.
So we will move on to the GSB awards, and the first one goes to Hokuto Fuji, and it is the Fat Man Flying Award. I believe this might be our first 2-time winner of the Fat Man Flying Award in the same Basho, as on day 4 versus Asanoyama, Hokuto Fuji took a tremendous fall off the dohyo once Asanoyama remembered, oh yeah, I'm good at sumo. And then on day 9 versus Terunofuji, where Terunofuji just pretty much shot him out of the dohyo like a spear, and Hokuto Fuji just flew.
It was mostly under his own power, but there's a screenshot that I managed to snag for Instagram where he is like fully 3 feet off the ground, completely airborne. It's amazing.
So Hokuto Fuji not doing good with the basics of sumo, which is pretty much like keep your feet on the ground.
Yeah, pretty important to sumo.
Next up, we have the Palms of the North Star, or the Kenshiro Award. This one, I couldn't directly give it to one person because this match on day 5, Tobizaru versus Koto Eiko, all you needed were some Kenshiro yatas, and it would have just fit perfectly. It was
Sick
just a
anime
Sukari
reference.
battle over and over. It was beautiful.
Omae wa moi shinderu.
Yeah, that's how amazing it was. Next up, we have the Ouch Award. That goes to Koto Shokiku for his leg, his nose on day 12, and his record. Please get better soon. Hopefully, Jurio does well for you. Next up, we have the Sit Your Ass Down Award going to Asanoyama, thankfully given to him by Shodai. The now Shin Ozeki kindly showed the, well, no longer Shin Ozeki, where he could sit, and kindly escorted him to his seat forcefully with a chokeslam.
Ryan, if we were going to name this after like The Undertaker or The Big Show, what would we call this award? Give us a good wrestling reference here.
I mean, that I was going to pull up this award before I saw it was already here, and I was going to call it the Undertaker Memorial Award.
I like it being an Undertaker fan.
It was either going to be Undertaker or Kane.
Gotcha.
Ooh.
Both of which have died multiple times in wrestling, so we can call it the Memorial.
Yes, but only one has the finisher, rest in peace.
Well, the finisher is actually called the Tombstone Mac.
Either way. Next award
Amateur.
is the Nope Award, which goes to Koto Shoho for his Day 13 non-Kimerite loss, where he just happens to touch the ground. Watching the match several times, he just touches the ground. He's nowhere near his opponent. It's like, nice try, kid, but nope.
That happened a couple of times this tournament where it wasn't like a Kimarite winning technique. The other guy just lost because for some reason they just lost. So that happened a couple of times.
It's like some shenanigans going on here.
Yeah. And we also have the El Matador Award, which is being awarded to Enho for using his body as the red flag that he waved at the bowl of Shima no Umi, and then quickly whipped his body around so that Shima no Umi just flew off of the dohyo. And is Shima no Umi a guy who landed on a shimpan, or is that somebody else I'm thinking of?
No, he speared a shimpan.
All right. I think I got him and like Hokuto Fuji mixed up a little, but yeah, they both absolutely went flying. But it was Shima no Umi who gored his way into a shimpan at the edge of the dohyo. And then our final award is the match of the Basha. We had quite a few good ones to select from this tournament. So the candidates for this one: Asadoyama versus Endo, Day 1. Asadoyama versus Teruno Fuji, Day 3. Okino Umi versus Endo, Day 5. Meisei versus Tobizaru, Day 9. Shodai versus Tobizaru, Day 15. That's not even mentioning a match like Tochinoshin versus Daisho, which was also spectacular. In the end, it looks like we are going with Shodai versus Tobizaru on Day 15. There's just so much writing on that match that it was hard to say no to that one.
It was a fun match too, but if you're only talking in the ring, it was top tier, but probably not number one. But just the fact that the Yusho rode on the second to last match of the entire Basha always adds the extra drama to push it over the top, I think.
Definitely. Plus, you had all the
Agreed.
emotions going on with Tobizaru right when he knew that he had lost, and just the excitement of that match. And then, of course, the end result was Shodai. It's like, no, that was just a great match.
Yeah. The one more kind of little tick from Tobizaru there is like I might be calling him the puppy, because like during like when he's crouched down, he's just kind of wiggling like a puppy that's like kind of wiggling his butt or something like that. How he's excited. He's like excited with full of anticipation for his matches. That got him a bunch of matas during the thing. But you can definitely see that in the Shodai versus Tobizaru, and it was I see why he was in anticipation, because that was a good match.
Just remember, Flerick, that Tobizaru is going to get promoted very high up the Bansuke and is likely to be over-promoted and have a very poor record the next time out.
Yeah, but, he also just keep winning, We'll see. What do you have as your history and, like, projections? Throw that out. You have to go with your heart. I have to. I like. What is it? Colbert said, like, you have to think with your gut. This is a gut prediction I have to go with right here. Tobizaru.
He said that, yeah, but he said that in his like sarcastic, ironic type character.
I don't know what you mean.
Okay, fair enough. Based on your rap lyrics, yeah, I think we have a lot more work to do to make sure that Flerick understands humor.
And so we had brought up, I can't remember if it was our midway episode or a preview episode, and we actually brought it up on this episode as well. Tamawashi won a Yusho. Who cares? Well, apparently one of our listener cares.
Hey guys, this is Molly. I am Queen of Kings on most social media. I've been a long-time lurker, first-time caller. I just had to call after your comments about Tamawashi on the midway episode. I can't exactly remember what they were, but I do know you guys said something like, "Oh, was anyone happy or was anyone excited about Tamawashi winning a Yusho?" Well, I was excited about it. Although I might be biased because the very first Basho I ever watched was Koto Shokiku's Soul Basho. So I'm a little biased with these guys that have never won, will never ever be like upper echelon Sanyaku, will probably never be Ozeki, getting a Basho win. Because for a lot of them, that's the best achievement they're ever going to get as far as being in Makeuchi. They'll just be mid-level guys for the rest of their lives. But hey, at least they got one cup under their belt. So I just had to call in to defend my boy. I know he's not that great anymore. He's getting old, but I just had to do it. So I hope you guys are well, and can't wait for the next episode. Oh, and go Hawks. See ya.
So Molly, not our friend Molly, a different Molly, and we're happy to have as many Mollys call into the show as they want to. So if your name is Molly, please tweet us, send us a voicemail. We want to hear from you. Except for this particular Molly, she is no longer a friend of the show, as she uttered 2 words which will never again be spoken on the show after I say them right now. Go Hawks. How dare you?
Ryan, why did you say that?
She already said it in the voicemail. You didn't have to repeat it. Everyone knew exactly what you were talking about.
So that people couldn't mince my words and try to find a loophole out of it. Molly is banned from this show forever. Actually, just to be safe, never mind. All Mollys are banned from the show forever.
Oh, that's harsh.
Yeah,
it's okay. When I'm uploading this episode, there's actually a filter I can put on it that if your name is Molly, it straight up just doesn't allow you to download it. I think I'm finally going to have to use that. Okay. I never thought I'd have to use that little checkbox, but you live, you learn.
Amazing.
It's for moments like this.
Yeah.
But no, Molly, we were good before, but now we are fiercely neutral. Fiercely neutral. Watch yourself.
All right. So before we go, I wanted to do a little bit something different from this tournament. I feel like as we talk through the episode, we kind of know what everybody's favorite thing that happened. So I just wanted to see, what is your main takeaway? What are you going to take from this Basho moving forward to kind of influence your view of what's going to happen in the sumo world? So Fleric, what's your main takeaway from this Basho?
You gotta, I guess that Shodai is actually good, I guess. It will be interesting. I think that's the main storyline of this is Shodai Ozeki. That's going to have huge implications going on for the next year, depending how it goes. It will be interesting in the future what other takeaways, because I think Tobizaru and some other good debuts, and I'm doing pretty well. Hoshoryu, Koto Shoho, Tobizaru all did pretty well at their kind of Makeuchi, or the second Makeuchi debut. So I think that's kind of another kind of big takeaway is the young guys doing well and Shodai Ozeki. Yay. I mean, how do you fiercely neutrally say stuff? Give a cheer about someone.
Definitely maybe.
Yes. All I know is my gut says maybe.
Exactly.
I was gonna say the same thing. That's Shodai being actually good, not just perfectly fine. He's actually good. And I think that in a larger picture, we're kind of seeing the next generation that's been coming up ever since we, at right around the same time that we started this podcast, like we were talking about earlier, this age of chaos. It seems to be solidifying a little bit which of the guys are going to be that top tier for the next generation. And Shodai has obviously firmly joined the ranks of guys like Asadoyama, Takakesho, Mitakeyomi, guys that we have, at least for a little while, known are top tier next generation kind of guys. But yeah, Shodai for sure cemented his spot in those ranks there.
What about you, Mac?
My big takeaway is just adding on to what Jake was saying, that the new generation, the younger generation, they're fun to watch. And as great as Hakuho and Kakuryu, the other Yokozuna, are, it's okay. I mean, they can gracefully bow out now and let the new guys come in. There's obviously another crew ready to go and entertain us and put forth some good sumo. So I like it. The future of sumo looks bright.
Yeah. I think I'm firmly in the camp of where I like Bashas where anyone can take it. So I've been kind of I enjoyed the spa show a lot. So hopefully we get more like this.
We've had 2 M17s take the U show. When has that ever happened?
Not often.
Exactly. This is awesome.
Not
And we're also high on the man tier chart as well for Basha.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, I like that.
I think my biggest takeaway is that I just don't think Ryuden is ever going to take that next step up. He's had a losing record in looks like 6 of his last 7 tournaments. He's already 29 years old. I just don't think he's really ever going to take that next step up to be a consistent Sanyaku level guy, or maybe even a consistent Joy level guy. I think it's just the realization that Ryuden just might be Sada no Umi. I think if you didn't get that from this tournament, I don't know what you were watching.
I like how, Flick, Jake, and I, we all kind of keep it a little more broad, a little more optimistic. You go right for the throat on one particular Rikshi. Wow.
Ryuden's
Well, you guys had already said like what I was gonna say, so there's no point in me piling on to Shodai's actually good, and we're seeing like the future kind of cement itself. We got fun youngsters that I think could play a key role in the future of sumo. Koto Shoho, Wakataka Kage, Hoshoryu. I think
I
all
didn't say
those guys.
Wakataka Kage, but okay.
I said it enough earlier for it to count. So yeah, I just figured, I'm gonna draw a conclusion about a Rikshi. So yeah,
Ryuden's a friend. He's from Kofu, which is like our sister city in Japan.
Oh shoot, you're right. I don't think Sada no Umi's ever gonna take the leap.
I'm just imagining like just taking off Ryuden's, like he has a mask and all of a sudden it was Sada no Umi the whole time. And we've gotten away with it. It wasn't for those blasted podcasting kids.
We knew it. We knew he was really the boring guy the whole time.
So before we wrap this up, I think all of us owe it to our venerable winner, the wisest among us, the man who knows sumo far and away better than any of the rest of us, the venerable YKZ Yokozuna Mac. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very proud. I did my own brand of sumo. Very happy.
I take it one punishment at a time.
Yes.
Yeah, and especially thank you for being a good sport and embarrassing yourself as well in the probably the first full 4-man punishment that we've done that had any sort of embarrassment for all of us.
Oh, I don't think Mac was embarrassed at all. I think Mac loved every second
No.
of
In
that.
fact,
sorry, Yokozuna Mac.
No, thank you. No, yes, thank you.
Deep apologies.
Come on, Ryan.
Yeah, when you sent me the message, Jake, that like Mac is also doing something extra, I was like, of course. I'm not surprised.
Why wouldn't I?
This does not shock me.
So if you enjoyed this podcast, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And I feel like after the editing on that punishment, we finally deserve that 5-star review after all this time. Or your favorite podcast listening service.
Yep. With all even though the editing deserved maybe 5 stars, the content probably a little bit closer down to. We'll just leave it at that. But you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and I guess Instagram. Search for Grand Sumo Breakdown.
You're right. The content might have been a little Wakataka Kage heavy to get 5 stars.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. A little helpless.
We got a blog too. Not much happens there.
No, all right. Well, if you got any questions, comments, or corrections, drop us a line at grandsumobreakdown@gmail.com or give us a call at 805-613-7866. That's 805-613-SUMO. And we do appreciate your voicemails. We actually do play them. So, call us.
Leave us a voicemail of literally anything. We'll probably play it as long as it's not like racist or sexist or something like that.
Yeah, that one that Fleric left us was no good.
Yeah,
I challenge you.
The really bad one you left too, so you didn't feel bad.
Yeah,
I need to be good. I'd be a good host with your
we had to be fair.
Racist and sexist voicemail you left as well.
Yeah, we had to be fair. We didn't want to play mine if we weren't going to play yours.
Yeah, so
bye. I guess.
KZ.
DJ Dadbod.
Ha ha ha! Oh wicka wicka.
Thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown. Until next time, throw your salt high
and keep moving forward.